On today's video, I'm going to be taking a real close look at the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. Now these are my first or initial impressions. I know what you're thinking, this shoe's been out a while, so what's taken me so long to come to the table to talk about the Pro 3? Well, in short, it's because I didn't really get along that well with the first version of the shoe. I wasn't able to max the miles out on these. You know, it was an okay shoe, but not my favorite. I didn't really care for the ride of the midsole. And when version 2 came out, so the Endorphin Pro 2, they didn't fix the problem for me. So, you know, they kept the midsole the same. So it was exactly the same shoe with just, you know, a different upper on it. And I liked the upper on the Pro 1. So for me, they didn't really address the issue that I had in the first version of the shoe when they came out with version 2. So I wasn't really all that excited about picking up a pair of those. So I skipped it. And I just wasn't all that excited about trying version 3 until recently. And that's because I'm getting ready to start a new marathon training block. And so I'm starting to evaluate and look at, you know, some new shoes that I might be able to use to run the Chicago Marathon and the New York Marathon. I've been running marathons in Nike, VaporFly, and then the AlphaFly has been my shoe of choice to run those distances this past year. But I'm open. I'm keeping an open mind, and darn it, I wish I would have tried these sooner. These are awesome. They have made such big improvements over, you know, version 1. And although I didn't run in version 2, you might as well say that I did because, again, same exact midsole. So let's talk about it. You know, first of all, they come in at $225 US. Now, I think that's a fair price for a super shoe today. There are a lot of super shoes that are pushing the envelope in terms of what they're asking for them. You know, $275 US for the AlphaFly, $250 for the VaporFly. I would say that the comparable would be the Adios Pro 3 or Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 3. So I think they're okay. They're pretty much in the ballpark as far as that goes. Weight-wise, you know, they might be a little bit heavier than I would like, but they don't run heavy. They came in at my scales, which is a US men's size 9. That's what I wear. At 7.5 ounces, and I'm going to try to do the conversion in my head real quick. 213 grams, something like that. I'll double check my math, and I'll put it up there on the screen for you just to make sure. Because if you like your weight in grams, I want to make sure that I get it correct for you. Now this version, and we'll start with the upper. You know, this colorway is a little different than some of the other colorways that are out there because the upper isn't quite as breathable. It doesn't appear to be, to me anyway. When I hold this up to the light, yes, you can see through it. It's somewhat translucent back kind of here in this area, a little bit up here, but you know, it doesn't appear to be as breathable as some of the others. You know, that pink colorway, I think, which one of the initial launch colors, is probably a little bit cooler underfoot. So that's something just to keep in mind if you're shopping around. Maybe these will go on sale at some point because we're getting really close to the Endorphin Pro 4 coming out. When that happens, you might want to, you know, pick up a pair. I'll just keep in mind that there does appear to be a difference in the uppers, but I'm okay with that because even though these might not be as cool as maybe one of the other versions of the shoe or other colorways, I'm going to be using these to run a marathon potentially in October as well as in November this year. And last year, when I ran the Detroit Marathon around that same time period, which was in October, there was a chance of snow. It was pretty cold. So I'm okay with the way that it is. And I didn't have any issues that way when I was out testing these out. Oh, just so that you know, I'm just getting rolling in these. So I have you know, a couple of runs in them, a 10-miler, and then I think an 8.5 miles after that. So just enough to be able to give you my first impressions. But by no means have I run the miles up to, you know, to the point where they're going to be retired. But I can guarantee you that I will get every mile out of these because they're super comfortable, and I'm excited to talk about more of that. Let's talk about a little bit more on the upper. The tongue, I like the tongue. It's gusseted. You know, it's got a little bit of padding up here at the top, enough to keep the laces from cutting across the top of your foot. Who doesn't like that? In terms of just overall comfort, step-in comfort, these are spot on. I just absolutely love these. I wish the other shoe companies could do what Saucony does. And the comfort that they offer. These are one of the most comfortable shoes that I've had on my feet in terms of the upper. especially for a racing shoe. So love that. No issues, no pressure points. You know, the Adios Pro 3, it took me a long time to be able to figure out how to run in those because of some pain points I had up here. I had the continuous pain points in the AlphaFly, both version 1 and version 2, different areas, but same comfort issues with the upper. No problem here. So awesome, Saucony. Awesome. They've got, you know, kind of lightly padded, but it's more the traditional padding up around the heel collar and counter. So I'll try to get a good shot of that for you. Not overly done, but more than enough there. I will, one note that I will say is that this does kind of ride up a little bit higher maybe than what I'm used to, but it didn't cause me any issues at all. It's still very comfortable, but I did notice it kind of on my Achilles a little bit when I was going at slower paces. When I was picking up the speed, you know, running basically marathon speed or maybe just a little bit faster. And for me, that's around a 7:30 to 7:40 minute mile pace. You know, being in that run position, no issues at all. No issues at all. So very comfortable upper, plenty of padding around the heel collar counter. The heel cup is, it's perfect. It's perfect. You know, my heel, I didn't have any slippage side to side, up or down. I felt like my heel was locked in really securely. So that is a big plus for me. The midsole, a lot of it. Of course, they got that Pebax foam here. It's their Power Run foam. A lot of it, you know, big change from, you know, the first two versions of the shoe, which is more minimalistic, I guess. So Saucony come on board with giving us a little bit of cushion, and kudos, because good job. Good job. So they got 39.5 millimeters in the heel. So they're really pushing the envelope of that 40 millimeter limit that you can have if you're an elite runner. No one cares what I have on my feet because I'm not an elite runner, but I still, they're 39.5 if you are. And then 31.5 up in the forefoot. So they have an 8 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. And I like that. That feels really comfortable. Even at slower paces, when I was more solidly midfoot striking, it just felt really comfortable. And even better when I picked up the pace and I was hitting up more towards the forefoot of the shoe. I think a lot of that has to do with the energy return that you're getting out of that Pebax foam. Lots of cushion, a lot more cushion than I expected up here in the forefoot of the shoe, especially, you know, with memories of running in these and not necessarily enjoying it as that much. I can't say that that's true here. So good job. I can't really say enough about, you know, just how blown away I am about the changes that they made and how positive that they are. Felt really good. You know, it was similar to the feeling that I get in running in the Adios Pro 3 when I was landing up here on the forefoot. You know, very similar in terms of the squish. These might be slightly firmer, but, you know, it's a little too early for me to make that call, but it's very close. And they have this speed roll technology. If you're not familiar with that, of course, they do have their carbon fiber plate full length. It's an S curves. That speed roll technology, it works well. You know, it helps you to roll through your gait cycle. You get lots of pop. I get lots of pop off this show, lots of good bounce. And that just helps me to turn my legs over quicker, a little easier to keep, you know, a faster pace, a steady, faster pace. So I don't foresee any issues at all taking these up to, you know, that half marathon level. I think they're going to be a great marathon racing shoe, but I want to put a lot more miles in them and come back to you on that one when I get that far. But I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the ride of these. Now, when I flip these over, of course, I think it's their XT900 rubber that they have on the outsole. Good on the grip. You know, there was some loose gravel that I was running in a little bit on some sidewalks and, you know, on the blacktop roads that I had these out on. I never felt like I was unsafe. There was a few times when I was running through some sprinklers because, you know, this time of year here in Michigan, it's starting to heat up and people are starting to water their lawns, and they would have them out, of course, you know, and they get a little bit wet on the sidewalks. And, you know, as I would run by those, I didn't have any fear at all that I was gonna slip because they grip to the road really well. So I think these are going to be a really good choice and possibly my next marathon shoe. I want to put a lot more miles in them, but lots of good coverage. So they're protecting all that Pebax foam. I really like that because if you guys missed it, I did a Death of a Super Shoe the other day where I took and I filleted the AlphaFly version 1 shoes, but the reason that those shoes end up dying was because of faulty outsole rubber. I shouldn't say faulty. I just wore it down. I wore those shoes down to the nubs, and then decided to cut it apart, see what it looked like. I don't think that the XT900 rubber is going to be the Achilles heel of these shoes at all, because they have lots of it. Look at that. I mean, all the way from basically the midfoot section of the shoe, and it's perfect for me because I do tend to come down on the lateral side. So that's exactly where I need it to be. And then they got the strips back here as well, but they don't think they overdid it at all. And that shoe is still coming in at 7.5 ounces, 213 grams. You know, I think that that's a good balance between giving you durability, but keeping it lightweight and still have some good grip on the ground. And they've got some cutouts there where you can see that carbon fiber plate, and it does say speed roll technology. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Maybe I can get a better picture for you up there in the forefoot of the shoe. So overall, my first impressions are super positive. You know, I'm really excited to put more miles on these. I'll definitely be using them in my rotation. So just so that you know, for what I typically do when I'm training for a marathon is I like to use the shoe that I intend to run the marathon in on those long run days, because, you know, as I say, nothing new on race day. And I think you just get accustomed and you can learn to run differently in those shoes and get the most out of them and maximize them, make sure that everything's working well for you. So typically on those long run days, I am using the shoe that I intend to run the marathon in. And if it's a shoe that I think I am going to take to that level and race in it, I will buy a second pair. So I'll have a pair that I'm going to be training in, and then a pair that I will race in that I'll put just a couple of miles in, you know, like the shakeout run or something the day before I go out for the big race. So if I do stick with these, and this becomes the shoe that I want to use in Chicago or New York, you can bet that I'd have a second pair on hand so that I could run the miles up in these. And so what that means is I'm going to run the miles up in these, and if I decide to use them for the marathon, I'll pick up a new, fresher pair to do that with. All right, so I think that about covers it for what I want to talk about for today. I will be doing some other comparisons with these shoes. You know, there's a lot of 3s out there right now. I've got the Adios Pro 3. You know, they haven't come out with 4 yet. They haven't come out with a 4 version of the shoe yet either. So I want to do a better comparison with those after I put another run or two in these. And then the VaporFly 3 came out, a bit lighter shoe, but still worth comparing. You know, these are the top tier racing shoes that are out there, all within a similar price point, that $225, $250. And I'm sure I'll compare it to the AlphaFly as well, because again, top tier racing shoe. I don't know if I'm going to get the Saucony Endorphin Elite. You guys let me know in the comment section below if you really want me to pick up a pair of those. They're pricey. I don't know yet. So if there's enough of a groundswell for from you guys to want me to pick up a pair, I'm sure that I will, to be able to review it here on the channel. But I do buy all of my own shoes. I bought these with my own money. They're expensive, and so I've been trying to buy, limit the shoes that I buy to the ones that I know or have a pretty good idea that I'm going to take them to the max and get every mile that I can out of them. So just, keep that in mind too. So, all right. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Run Tall with Tim.